That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Fortunately, though, we got some gameplay to help us out.
Whew,
here,
that was scary.
Yeah, I know. We would have had to connect more, you know, and you never want to do that with people.
It's okay, guys. You'll be liberated from that just now as we get into the draft. Similar bans to what we had in game number 1. In fact, almost exactly the same, with the small adjustment of a Nocturne ban, and of course, all the champions from game 1 being excluded.
I think a lot of priority should be put on the Pantheon now, as a couple of those primo junglers off the board from game 1. Also, game 2. 2 more taken away, but Orianna, the premier mid laner that we see kind of rarely escape the draft, has been left up. And, well, we'll see if Renard can play the pick that Rookie has been known for his whole career. Close to the levels of Rookie, as it's going to be an IG Orianna in the hands of Renard.
Second time that we do see the first champion that we talked about be snapped up real quickly, this time by IG. NIP, of course, got the Jarvan last game, and this time seemed to be focusing on what you're talking about, that exact same thing. The premier champion in the jungle going to go to NIP with Guwon piloting that, and this time Care on Azir.
Really interested to see what Jwei responds with, or if Jwei responds at all, because you could go Corki Nami here. That's one of the better bot lane pairings that's still up. No chance to match the pairing in whole. So I think Azir Panth, it brings a lot of power and value, but man, Orianna Corki Nami is a really powerful start to the draft so far for IG.
I would imagine that they just slam that here because there's really no reason not to. It's difficult to draft into as well, and it would follow with exactly what IG did just last game, which was draft a strong bot side, worry about the rest later. They are going to be able to get Breathe last pick, but as close to that as they can get him as possible, all the better. NIP, on the other hand, will only get to draft half their bot lane, and to be honest, are likely to exclude it entirely until the second half, as they just grab a Renekton for Hoya, one of his better picks in split number 1. Really effective on this champion, and most importantly, a winner in lane.
Yeah, so that trend we saw for IG taking bot lane first rotation, NIP second, it continues. And it also means that, I mean, NIP getting Yunara Lulu, I think, had a lot of value, but this time around, I don't know what they're going to get that they're going to like, because I think that you're incentivized to take Ezreal into something like Corki Nami at times, just to avoid the combos or be able to maybe match the Trinity Force. But with no Karma pairing, don't think that's going to be the play for Assum. Remove the Bard makes sense to me, as Bard has a lot of power. I think that taking away maybe Nico as well. I don't have Nico as high a priority as I have in the past, but there's nothing really to keep Nico out right now. And those Nico ults could be really nice for helping Azir and Pantheon execute. But interested to see if IG uses the ban on that or something else.
I like that NIP have something that's long range like the Azir. I think they're probably opting into that a little bit later. For that reason, the Bard takeaway is really nice. You don't want to be piling all into one position when you know you're drafting into an Orianna already, and so letting your frontliners sort of take that duty on themselves and have other carries that can operate from range does force Orianna to pick one or the other, which is going to be the better scenario than being able to get a 5-man shockwave onto everyone. On the other side of this, we have had some jungle, some top lane bans taken away. IG notably don't have a champion for Jwei just yet, and we'll have to lock that in pretty soon.
Oh.
All right.
Lucian Braum or Lucian Milio? Lucian wasn't exactly what I wanted to see here. I know it's like something Assum likes to play, but I don't view Lucian as being very playable right now in the meta. Or very good.
I will say it's exactly the opposite of what I asked for, was a long-range AD carry.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, so it's going to be tank top. I mean, Cassante taken away, but Sion's still up. Renekton will be happy early in that matchup, but then Sion gets to the point of no return. And frankly, I think the Fury and the Panth has some value. Jwei on the Wukong. Wukong has been really deprioritized. He's just not quite fast enough this split compared to last split, where... I think that with the game being a little bit slower overall, his ults were really big to fight on. Now it feels like the game is being played a lot faster. That's what benefits a Pantheon a lot more is, yeah, that Milio is going to get locked in, so... All right, Lucian Milio, I mean, we'll see if they can do something with it, as I think this is a combo that can be quite good, but Corki Nami should have a lot of early priority over that Lucian Milio in the bot lane.
I'm writing it all down right now so I don't forget. I mean, I'm a little confused as to why we went with Azir so early on. I mean, outside of just Azir's blanket power, Azir doesn't really seem to fit with this composition. NIP want to go in, want to blow people up. They don't have a whole lot of sustained damage outside of the Azir, so it's possible that Kara is a late game scaling solution, but outside of that, it just doesn't really feel like he has a lot of synergy.
Yeah, that's kind of why I wanted the Nico too, because if you hold people in place for Azir, that's nice. We have a Pantheon stun, a Renekton single target stun, and that's really all the CC that we have outside of an Emperor's Divide for NIP, and that concerns me greatly, as I think that the Wukong be kind of slippery. Sion should be able to tank a lot, and I view this as a winning bot lane, a like somewhat winning mid, slightly Ori favored mid lane matchup, and it will be a winning top side for IG, but I think bot lane prio, or winning bot lane, I prioritize a little bit more, and we'll see if IG's bot lane can lane better this time around, because IG's bot lane did get, or NIP's bot lane did get the best of IG's bot lane in game 1, so room for improvement there for IG.
And I mean, there is also the idea that, you know, with Renekton having a slightly easier time in the matchup against Sion early on, that Guwon can convert this into objectives. Importantly, Void Grubs really early. I think the Lucian likely meant to do the same thing, as already we've got a fight kicking off, and Breathe has just visited the bot lane. NIP were certainly not expecting this, but will they be caught by it? Flash from Assum still gets slowed down. It is a winning trade for IG's bot lane, and a teleport straight up to the top lane for Breathe expends the summoner to give his bot lane the Giga advantage.
Yeah, we've seen more teams play around with level 1s and trying to get have other lanes interact, as I think that level 1s are something that, I mean, it was a big part of League of Legends in the past. They moved up those timers, and still should be a big part of League now. Just kind of forgotten about in Split 1. We've seen a lot of teams kind of kick back into level 1s, which I have liked. I think it's a big part of the game, and one that you can use and abuse, as Breathe does so nicely. And, well, Lucian down 2 CS in gold, but more importantly, 2 CS in experience, which makes this matchup that is already Corki Nami favored early that much harder moving forward.
Chachi and Mako just able to step up really easily. Press the attack, still working for Assum, at least early on, but level 2s do change all of that. Let's think about the junglers real quick. We did have a ward placed by NIP on Raptors. That's going to spot Jwei, clearing them just now as both junglers finish up their last camps topside and move down bot.
Well, I gotta say, it is worth noting that while Mako didn't have his skin on this champ, this is a signature pick for Mako. Wow, that wasn't even close, right?
No, that's fine. Imagine if he had Flash, by the way. Imagine if they hadn't burned Flash level 1. That's over.
Yeah.
And
well,
the wave freezes for him. No!
It should... Oh, no, that's a cannon. Okay, that's actually a really good scenario for Jachi. So, I mean, Zhuo and Jachi definitely deserve some credit for how they've laned early on in these first 2 games. That's a nice comeback. And definitely some mistakes being made by Jachi and Mako. I think that Assum is dodging forward a lot. And IG is not exactly adapted to that or expected that.
It's honestly been pretty darn well played. I think even to get the winning trade, you know, it's nice to see from Assum, but still a disadvantage as Jachi off the back gets to come back with the tier, and with the wave bouncing back to him, gets to play a little safer early on. Assum still has a lot of early power on this Lucian, though, and that's exactly the same thing that we're seeing topside. Early power in the lanes, the ability to push, and again, a refocus on objectives for NIP. This draft itself may not be anything that we go, oh, well, this clearly wins the game. But what it should do, what it needs to do, is focus around dragons and grubs, Rift Herald, whatever it may be, to get the biggest advantage in the neutrals. for NIP because that's what lost them game 1. Zhachi low again. Again, Assum doesn't have flash, but Zhachi's got literally nothing. First blood as he just gets run down. We've seen this story in game number 1, and we are seeing it again.
Yeah, IG's bot lane, they deserve some flack for this. This is not... I feel like it's been 3 or 4 moments now in both these games, Dia, where we've just seen IG go for a trade in a long lane that's not there, and then they just get ran down by it. And in this matchup early on, this is not supposed to happen. Or just Nami plus Corki should be able to avoid some of this early on, especially with the fact that Lucian missed 2 creeps of XP early. And for the second game in a row, IG's bot lane's actually, has some issues. This isn't just kind of underperforming or not playing well. And this is issues that almost warped game 1 into an NIP win because of the lead that Assum had. So now let's see if Assum can do more with this lead, because this is a big one for him.
See what Jwei's able to cook up here as Care maybe overpositioned in the lane, does back off in the right direction. And there's some support from NIP coming as Guwon shows up mid lane as well. Renard a little bit too low to stay in flash range of a Pantheon, but as he expends his stacks, becomes a little bit safer. Both mid laners would really like to reset pretty soon.
Renard going to get started out of a little bit here. Yes. Yeah, no cannon minion for Renard. So Care will take that, but he's able to get back, and Care has a little bit of an XP advantage from Jwei sharing more, so we'll see if we can use anything with that as we get into future doubles. That said, this bot Dragon might have a fight over it, because I think that with the lead the Lucian Milio has now, pretty much up a Caulfield's Warhammer on just a tier for Zhachi. Gotta believe that this Dragon's, it might be in the cards here for NIP, and would be great for them to secure a neutral, something they did not do much of in the last game.
I would go so far as to say should be, not just, that not only do they have the potential to do it, but it would be a disappointment to me were NIP not to get the neutral off of the early game setup that they've been given, created for themselves. However you're seeing this from whatever perspective we've got. There is about a minute and a half left until Void Grubs as well. Another potential as the NIP bot lane does at least collect themselves a plate early on, a little bit of extra gold to accelerate themselves even further. Caulfield's already completed for Assum, making him extremely burst heavy in this lane, something that we're going to see right now. I should have said right now.
Now that would be honoring Mako's actual skin choice. His skin choice for when he won Worlds was a Yumi because of his cat. So, opportunity for that later, maybe. But at the moment, bot lane fight not going to break out. The farming continued. Of course, that Dragon was not hit or started by Guwon. He went for the top crab, which did give him 6. As now we're going to have Sion go for a run. I think Breathe does get this wave, but he's probably going to have to execute.
Should be able to do so. If you're NIP, does this really matter? Does the Sion in your base... it's not really impacting your game. Hoya is going to be just fine cleaning up his waves, and the 2 top laners not interacting with each other is not really going to change much. It's the bot lane where everyone is focused, and Assum going for this off the back of an ult from Guwon. Grand Starfall not connecting onto Zhachi, but IG perfectly positioned to try this Dragon. We're on it before this play happened and may very well choose to start it up again, as Renard does have Shockwave available if a little low on mana.
Another nice disengage from Jwei. I think that this matchup, you really want to kind of calm things down as the Wukong into the Pantheon. As your scaling, just what Wukong gets in his kit, can be really big later on. So I think that disengage definitely helped his bot lane, helps himself a bit, as that Grand Starfall is a big cooldown that wasn't used to try and get the Sion in base, wasn't used to try and fish for that kill, was saved for a bigger play elsewhere, and that play was just neutralized by Jwei. So, again, 2 games in a row where Wei's kind of coming to the help of his bot lane and trying to help neutralize the laning lead we've seen out of NIP in the first 2 games.
As of right now, the first dragon of the game, delayed from game number 1. IG were picking up their first dragon around 8 minutes last time. NIP, this time with the advantage, are instead trying to create plays as Care goes for the Emperor's Divide in the mid lane, and Jwei now looking for a little bit of damage onto Zhuo. NIP would really like to take a kill, then convert it into an objective, but they have the damage to do so only in Assum, who's looking at Jwei right now and still unable to complete the kill.
Should be enough pressure, though, to get the crab for the Pantheon, which can help with the dragon, so... Can't see if that turns into anything. Mako, TP coming out now, too.
IG want to fight for this, and Guwon is alone. You have to imagine that they know, given the control ward, that they just got cleared out of the mid lane, but everybody gets out of here, and we are so close to finding our kills, Cubby. Everyone is looking for the play, looking for the fight, but... by that same token, it seems that both IG and NIP are aware of just how precarious this situation is.
I didn't love seeing that tidal wave go sideways. That was a tough look. But I feel like kill might have been able to connect there if that did connect itself. Not the case. Guwon going to remain strong on the Panth. As 10 minutes in, and outside of a bot lane landing advantage, it's been quiet. I think taking inventory. I would say that Breathe is a little bit further ahead of this matchup than what I'd expect. And I would say that everything else, outside of bot being a little bit up, is about as expected. As his first dragon.
Come up.
Did. Ults are up. NIP might be looking to get frisky here, Dia. Yeah, TP.
They need to be getting frisky. Awesome. Channeling ultimate immediately. Guwon comes in with the Grand Starfall. This is the play NIP we're looking for as Jwei recommits with the Cyclone, but there's no shockwave to follow that up. In from the back comes Sion as Breathe does force a dash out of Assum, but NIP, they get 2 kills, and most importantly, they get the Dragon Cubby. Finally!
That was big, and I like the take a lot from NIP because I think that we were fighting on different cooldowns. But from that last play, see Tidal Wave on your screen right now is still coming up off cooldown, and there was no shockwave. So taking that dragon, I think that's one that you try and take off of your lane priority itself. NIP, yeah, they were down to the lanes. In fact, they recovered it, used 2 TPs, used the Pantheon ult, and turned this one around. That's a nice win, and there's no Tidal Wave to break this play. There's no shockwave that really stopped NIP from coming in either. So it is 2 big ults being down. It's Wukong being a level down, and that's a winning fight for NIP. They were able to cash in.
Care being able to escape Breathes. Pain Train as well. Really welcome. NIP transition this into another objective. So, though I will note, they were behind the clock on where IG were in game number 1. Getting the first 2 objectives like this, still a really good news story for NIP, and the requirement of their composition, of the way that they've played in the first couple of minutes, certainly coming to a head. Renard gonna get scooped up right into Guwon, whose stun has yet to connect, but a flash forward from him will secure the kill on IG's mid laner and leave NIP with a continuation of the lead they've built in the first 12 minutes.
Yeah, nice punish. Of course, we saw it earlier. Kara got the ult for flash trade into the Orianna with Guwon there. This time around, Guwon able to burn his own flash to make sure the kill goes the way of NIP. Easy peasy, as we see a lot of Orianna into Azir, and that's a big part of the matchup, is playing on your timers, not the enemies. So I think that Kara able to, again, find a fight where his ult was up, or he was not. That's a dragon. And now punish the flash being taken down with Guwon. Some good stuff, and Guwon kind of getting back into what we saw out of NIP's first series, where he played really well to find the win.
He's just 2v2 killing them under the tower! IG losing control of the bot lane in catastrophic fashion.
You know, Dia, I feel like game 1 was what happens if we have one team with a lot of gold and one team with a lot of objectives. I'm fearing that game 2 is starting to become what happens if one team has all the gold and also has all the objectives. As
yeah.
NIP is they're starting to run away with this. I mean, I was talking. I didn't think that Assum could find the 2v2, but that bot lane, the Corki Nami, that is one of those very, very strong pairings. They got the opportunity to counterpick again, and we saw them win and do this in game 1, Dia. Now it's just going to be if they can do it again in game 2, but we got a lot bigger lead this time around as a lane and as a team to try and make sure this goes their way as we get another look. It was the Super Mega Fire Kick that kind of helped set this one up. Lead with the W. Great dash out. The auto double tap on Mako finds the double Q as well, as they kind of lined up for that with the flash. And, well, Assum looking like the Flash. That was dashing all over them on the bot side. And we'll see if he can, again, make sure that this lead converts into a win.
I like the way that he's playing it right now as well. Doesn't actually just got the culling up, but without the insane amount of burst, without the low health bars on IG, he just goes, you know what? You're going to have to step up for a series of short trades if you want to touch this wave. And that, of course, we know is going to go in the favor of NIP, who have first tower as a real possibility here as well. This wave might just do it, especially with all 3 Void Grubs being theirs. And NIP definitely on the next wave crash are going to pick up that much more gold for themselves as we move to almost a 5,000 gold lead in the favor of NIP, just over it, with the majority of that being on Assum.
Yeah, this is a really significant lead. Jwei gonna have some help.
Absolutely no way he does.
Well, he's trying to with that Q, but I think Guwon might actually get him now.
A lot of damage on this Pantheon, especially over time. I mean, Breathe does have a lot of armor stacked up with a Thorn Mail completed, but he'll be able to get out with just the use of the Flash. I respect that Breathe is trying to make these plays happen, but it is Guwon that is really doing so, absorbing a shockwave for nothing to get a flash out of IG's mid laner. But IG do strike back in some ways, picking up the Rift Herald.
It's something, but this bot lead, I mean, it's a Trinity Forest completed by Jachi, and Assum has 2 items. So, that's a problem. And one that I don't really know how IG can get out of. This is a 4K gold deficit. I think it's got to come off the back away, and Renard's syncing up to find these Cyclone in the Shockwave combos. But then Milio pretty much gives you an extra half a health bar to play with if you are Assum, and this is going to be a tough one to take if you are IG.
I don't love this. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't love it either.
Thankfully, IG recognized that. Early or late, doesn't matter. They didn't lose anything but the dragon, which was the minimum they were going to lose in that scenario.
Hopefully get some gold in the Orianna, because I think IG opting to play around or away from the objective again, kind of smart now. They will have more scaling on the top side. Breathe is already pretty far up in this game compared to the match where we'd expect for him to be.
I've seen this story before.
Yep.
On a sandy platter, Renard is being served up.
You'd think that Pantheon would, being the warrior that he is, would be kind of against sandy platters. I feel like he deserves a little bit more than that from his camp.
I agree, but you know, on the upside, it is from an emperor, so you know, being served sand by a peasant is very different than from a
gotta be polite
king. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
If not, he might get kicked out of the castle, which currently is happening to Renard.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I mean, I criticized the Azir early on from a compositional standpoint, and to the benefit of NIP, the Azir, good or not, has been largely irrelevant, but in the best way. He has served up the correct kills, he has done the CC in the right places. Whether it's Azir or not, neither here nor there, but he's doing fine.
I agree. They've really tried to play around this pick and matchup in a way that if you do play an Orianna, she doesn't have the mobility tools that you have as Azir. And Care and the rest of NIP have made good use of that. As, it's been bot lane winning the 2v2, and then it's been the mid lane 2v2 with the help of the jungler. Would help build up this 5.5k gold lead. We saw Jwei maybe take a peeksy there, didn't commit onto Assum. And it's going to be IG dropping a lot of side lanes as they try and maybe drop a Herald mid.
Assum has definitely been recognized by IG, though, in the same way as his Yunara during Game 1. IG know that their path to victory must include an elimination of Assum's Lucian, who does eat a full shockwave underneath the tower, but is underneath his own tower. There's no follow-up from IG, who just managed to get the Rift Herald gold. and ultimately have to back away in the mid lane.
Yeah, they allowed the opposing solo laners to push both lanes into the inner turret, so they're going to have some cleanup now for a couple waves, but I mean, IG, they get something. I just don't know if they're going to be in better shape to fight the upcoming dragon. I know Baron spawns first in a minute. We've got that dragon in 2. Would be soul point for NIP. Another Infernal Soul is that deal. As they're keeping things nice and hot.
Like 2 minutes from now, it does feel a little early for IG to be fully turned around on this. I will say, you know, Trinity Force completed is a spike for Zhachi, despite the fact that there are 2 items on Assum. Maybe fourth dragon a little bit more realistic, but you really don't want to have to. You don't want to have to do that.
I don't know. I think that if you're IG, it's like, when and where do things get better for you? So I think Wukong really needs 2 items. You're staring down 2-item path. The more I think about this, the more it's like, this is probably a no, or you're going to pass on this. As Assum making sure that they have full mid priority. And IG is still struggling to find answers in this game.
Crux of this composition as well, Orianna for IG. Somebody who needs to hit their item timings as well. I think you definitely want to have 2, 3, if I'm honest, items on Orianna. Plus, I mean, the closer she is to level 16, the better. And Renard needs a long time to do that. Fortunately, he's been spending a lot of it in the side lanes. With 30 seconds left on this dragon, IG are at least positioned to take it if NIP don't. But it's up to NIP to make the right play right now. They've got care up on the top side. Teleports available. Assum still very much the focus of this fight.
Again, was the focus of the last game, and Assum was not quite able to deliver the victory, as he was found by IG in a couple of these big fights. Did help the game go IG's way. But again, this game, I mean, it's the goal and the objectives that sit in NIP's pockets, and I think for IG, their chances of trying to disrupt this dragon are slim. Hoya is spotted on a ward, but this dragon's been started, and Breeze's walking down, so IG might look for the fight, but also might just look to trade this for mid-outer.
Renard's got Shockwave to make this happen. Breathe has shown up to the play. IG, they want to contest for a dragon that is already gone. Do they pick the fight in the aftermath, or do they disengage to try and take mid lane tower? Flashing forward with Hoya. We've got a Renekton in the front line, a Renekton that is very quickly losing all of his health, but Guwon flashes forward to take his place. In with the shield bash, he's going to survive. IG don't lose a member, but a Grand Starfall comes in to follow it up, and it's right on top of Zhachi, who goes down, losing IG, their first member of the fight, and opening up this second-tier tower for NIP to wail on.
I like that from Guwon. The tower wasn't down yet, but the fight was really at the tipping point where if they were going to get anything or not, he had to go. He goes in. Dragon, 2 towers for NIP, and frankly, I think that looks like enough to wrap up this game too, Dia. Again, for IG, I just don't see how they really get back in here. It's got to be off of Wukong Orianna. We didn't really see that, and this was a split fight, and I thought Hoya went way too far up. Hoya, for me, is pretty killable in this scenario. They blow everything on trying to get the Renekton down. That big one, though, from Zhachi, it snuck into the backline instead of being on Hoya. I think if he's synced up with his team, they at least get the Renekton. Outside of that, though, Assum and the Milio bonus health bar coming in just too big. And I think it's the second game in a row where, for me, IG's bot lane, they drafted the lane that should have been a little bit more dominant early. I felt stronger about that. Oh, hold on. Can't talk. Fight.
Guwon once again surviving with the shield vault. And Assum, unfortunately, steps a little too far forward. We saw that haunt him in game number 1, and game 2 is certainly no exception.
It's a lot of gold going over to Wukong. And frankly, IG really needs that, and for me, it's NIP. Probably need a few mistakes out of them for them to win for IG, because we've seen... I think that, like, this game, it might be comebackable for IG. I just think that there is still a lack of crowd control for NIP that IG might be able to punish. Also, the Scion might be able to buy enough time where he can kind of make sure his team actually gets the fight they want. But this is a really big lead for NIP. I mean, this would be a pretty big throw if they managed to chuck it. And that shutdown that Assum gave over, definitely not a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I would go so far as to say that should NIP lose this game, it answers some of the questions that we had about how far the team could go in Split 2. They would need to make some drastic changes either in the way that they are practicing or other, is what I'm going to leave it at, should they lose this game, because IG shouldn't be able to win it, right? We've had so many roster changes for them. Their synergy should not be at the level that NIP's is, especially after playing a full LPL playoffs together. NIP have the objectives. They have the gold lead. They've taken notes on game one. If this isn't their game, you can't just chalk it up to luck.
100%. I mean, this has been... I think that Breathe has played really well this series, but kind of an uninspiring IG performance, looking at the bot lane. Like, Jwei and Mako have gotten blasted in lane both these games. And that's not exactly what you were hoping for as IG putting these two together, especially in a matchup where coming in. I really thought that on paper, Jwei and Mako should be stronger, but it's been that experience playing together from Assum and Zhuo that's really helped. That and counter picks that have paid off. Counter picks that have not been dealt with well by NIP. Or by IG.
Let's see what Assum's able to continue cooking up, because it's, to be honest, not like we haven't seen some faltering there in terms of how IG is able to address this ADC. I'm, in general, a fan of the way that Assum is played, so don't get it twisted, guys. Like, when we are seeing him step too far forward and he does get punished, it's a real problem, but it's also something that, as we mentioned in game one, you want your AD carry to be confident doing sometimes, because if you always play the most conservative game, you're not really getting an AD carry that has character, that has style, that can straight up win you a game. Assum, he can win them the game, he can lose them the game. And it's up to him to decide which that is, and up to IG as well to see how they can address it.
20 seconds before Dragon, and mid priority has not been addressed by IG. It still is NIP with control. Breathe tank him what he can. The rest of his team can funnel in behind. IG, they have been able to sneak into this banana brush, which can be quite nice, but I think NIP is pretty up to this and aware.
Not quite level 16 yet for Renard either. Just level 14 on Orianna. A couple items complete, but not at the third just yet. Wukong Orianna can destroy a fight, but those two need to line up perfectly. Right now, ball's already placed on Jwei. In theory, IG are ready for it. They have priority on the Dragon, and they're actually going to start it up, giving Hoya access to a very tiny flank with a lot of damage dealt on NIP. NIP are giving this Dragon up, and IG out macro and even out micro in this fight to get themselves a big enough advantage to take the Dragon.
I mean, Breathe just caught all the damage, and it was a big rocket with a Nami on it that chunked 3 from NIP. That was enough to force them off, and that's a really big win for IG, and I guess kind of why, after I said I thought this game was too big a lead for NIP, I started waffling a little bit. Yeah. Not to take inspiration from, other LPL greats like Raz, who likes to flip-flop predictions on the desk. We don't stand for that. We're waffling predictions in-game as we get more info, but you can see kind of the Sion's ability to deal with the Lucian, the Azir, and that top side that the Renekton, has fallen off by this point of the game. I think the size of Breathe and kind of how NIG were able to funnel in behind them, that lack of crowd control for NIP to really pull the trigger, it could prove that Sion just kind of becomes this big worry later on. And I think as long as Breathe continues to manage his way in the fights well, that's one way that IG can kind of fight the gold deficit if a lot of that damage is being soaked by the Sion.
Yeah, realistically, as we talked about with sustained damage coming from the composition not really being the focus of NIP right now, Care is the one who realistically has to deal with Sion in the long term of the fight. We have seen in a lot of games of League of Legends, professional and not, that you can fight a game around a Sion as well. You can just kill the rest of his team and have him watch, which is kind of messed up, but it's possible. If, however, Sion is going to die, realistically, Care is going to do the majority of the damage, and for that to be a realistic thing as well, he's going to need a few more items. And Thinking about 2 items left until Care's really able to do that. Same timing as Renard is going to be able to blow up his entire team.
I mean, again, the gold lead. Assum does have the LDR. That is damage into Breathed Scion, but look at what Breathed Scion is building. This guy doesn't care about Azir whatsoever. We are about stacking that armor, making sure that this Lucian that did get fed can only hurt us so much as these fights break out. And Breathe is seen him drop quite a few side lanes now to make sure that his team can at least step up in mid. This has given a little bit of free time now over to Kara on the bot side, who is going to wrap up this turret. So more gold over to the Azir. That feels good.
Nice. Thank you very much. And serves Breathe back into his base.
That's a lot of weight for those sand soldiers, by the way.
It is. They're hardworking, you know?
They are.
Yeah.
A lot of weight to be thrown around with that Scion.
Sharima obviously taking a lot of inspiration from Egypt as well, and those guys built the pyramids, so Scion's approximate weight probably shiftable. And I guess that's technically a pun. Technically.
Yeah.
My bad, Cubby. My bad.
No, I was here for it. This game slowed down. I feel like we have to dip into trying to connect interpersonally, but, you know, also history. We can go into history, too. But 90 seconds away from our Infernal Soul 4 NIP spawning. Baron's yet to be touched, and frankly, I don't think that we're going to be seeing Baron get hit here. As I think it's going to be about that long setup for the Scion and IG yet again. Can Scion really get in, kind of spot NIP as 5, and almost mark him? Or be the one to tank up the damage, or at least walk up when that Soul Furnace, that W, is available. If not, I would love to see if NIP can find an angle or get IG to overcommit, so we can see Guwon maybe pull the trigger early. There's that GA is available and ready on the Pantheon, and that might be one way they can kind of break the formation. We saw IG play well as they got that last dragon for themselves.
And the frontliners for NIP have been doing a really good job. Hoya, we saw in the last dragon fight, just tank up an insane amount of damage, still get out alive. Guwon recommitting with things like the Grand Starfall has been critical for NIP's success. On the side of IG, I am, as an NIP enjoyer, wary of the fact that Renard has hit level 16, and while he hasn't completed his 3rd item, he is darn close. Not quite enough time to do it before the dragon spawns in 13 seconds, but...
They're dropping an inhibitor right now, by the way.
Shot! Gee! Does do quite a bit of damage to Assum. I've noted the inhibitor. We'll keep an eye on it, as seems unaddressable.
It seems, I mean, they could address it. They're just choosing not to. They're going to try and rip this dragon, deny the soul. NIP's response should be to hit the Baron. So I think it's going to be a Wei solo mission. And they're going to drag Wei off from there. So now Wei's late to the fight, and it's a free inhibitor. So right now it's quite grim for IG.
Could lose Baron.
Wei's not here in time.
And inhib. And dragon. He's hitting Nexus Towers now. The game is happening around IG.
The dragon's still up.
Oh! Flash forward from Kara does miss. Hoya is ending the game, by the way, but IG, they are fighting in the pit to try and deny this. Baron, Guwon does go in on the backside, almost taking out Mako. Zhuo's going to finish him off. IG are still working on the fight, but again, the game is literally ending. Out goes the cancel from Zhuo, and Hoya is just going to sit in base, slamming away on this. Wei's here. Can they finish him? Can they stop Hoya? Flash from Hoya, and the last daughter to secure the game for NIP.
Oh my god! Oh my god! I cannot believe that's how that game ended. We ignored the bot wave. We TP'd top early. We said, Oriana, come join the team. We need to contest the dragon. And then they hit the Baron. Wei is late to the Baron's given over for free. By the way, for free. We gave the Nexus and Baron for free. IG, what are we doing?
I don't even know. I don't know who to be more concerned about. Like, that game did feel like it was kind of getting away from NIP for a little while, and I was like, oh, I don't know, like maybe IG are coming back. But then IG let the game go like that, and I'm thinking, what are we doing? What?
I have NACL tomorrow. There is not going to be a game that ends like that in that dev region for the entire year. I promise you that. That's one of the grossest endings I've seen in a long time, by the way. Holy smokes. Yeah. Oh, my God. All I can do is laugh to you. That's
yeah.
And
you understand it from an IG side. Like, they do want the dragon. They also have to stop the Baron. The inhibitor sort of becomes well, we could let that go because we got time. We can just do the other things. And they just don't. It extends for too long. And oh my God, Zhuo canceling not just the back, but also the teleport. He stopped Sion from going back like 5 seconds earlier. And genuinely, with 5 more seconds, Hoya doesn't win the game there. It's still terrible. It's still terrible.
I'm flabbergasted. I don't think that they could have played that 2-minute sequence worse. I don't. that was tough. That was tough.
Yeah.
Oh, well. I mean, it might have come down to Emilio Q. We will give some kudos for that. But even like without even taking the backdoor into account, in a 5v4, we managed to not answer a wave, not take the dragon, and give away the Baron for free. That's terrible. Like, even if like we're talking about if the game ends or not, like if the Emilio doesn't cancel the TP or not, that's a terrible sequence that I just listed off, no matter what.
Yeah. I mean, both Nexus towers. It's... I really want to go back and get a replay of it, which I know we can't do. Like, we'll have to wait until later where we can VOD review it. But like... maybe they'll do it in a highlight. Did somebody have teleport? Like, could somebody have been matching theoretically Renekton in the side lane? Could we have physically sat there, or was this just a bad match? Like, what was there a tool that could have answered or stopped this and still let IG contest for the objectives that they did need to contest? Like, they needed to be there for Dragon. They, needed to be there for Baron once it got started.
I think that you have to stop the bot push a little earlier with Orianna, and then your entire decision tree from there just gets better. But again, I do not know how that could have been played worse by IG. As this game should have been an NIP win. Assum is my MVP. He played very well. He turned around the bot lane. But IG losing in that fashion, that is depressing, Dia. I do not know what else to say. That is a bummer.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I mean, despite Hoya... I will say, the idea of giving Hoya an MVP when he's 0-0-0 and just hit the Nexus would be so hilarious that were I working for LPL, I would do it.
We need to send this game over to Esports Garage and Manny, as they recently had a video talking about every 0-0-0 performance and was it grief or not. This is a non-grief front. This might have been one of the best 0-0-0 performances I've ever seen from Hoya. As he goes 0-0-0, has a definitive impact in a team fight where he got out with 0 HP, and we said he should have died earlier in the game, and then backdoors and just Giga Chads at the end of the game. Yeah.
He was very impactful. I mean, relative to how 0-0 Renekton's can be in this game. Like you're talking about, Assum, I think likely gets MVP. Credit to you, you know it as well as anyone. Because he warped this game completely around him, I think Hoya's impact definitely remarkable for the fact that he was 0-0-0. And again, the game win is just hilarious.
0-0-0 useful Renekton. Honestly, if he gets Pog, we might just have to like walk off and call it a cast. I don't think we can have a better game than what we just witnessed. If we have a 0-0-0 Renekton get a Pog. And be like, maybe that was deserving, you know? I don't think it's deserving. I think it should still be awesome. But I am here for the memes, Dia, as this game This game broke out into insanity.
I would do it for the memes. And I think that the LPL desk, they should do it for the memes. As to what happens from here, I am weirded out by this game because I think we were going to answer some really important questions about NIP and where they were at. Mm-hmm. And instead, I think we've created new ones about IG. When we came into this game, I went, okay, NIP, they've adapted to what happened last game. They're focusing on objectives. We saw they were a little bit behind where IG were in game number 1, and I was going, okay, we're going to see how their macro plays out. Is this a team that can really seriously contest with IG, or are IG, who have reinvented themselves, ship of IG, just a totally better team? And instead of answering that question about NIP, I'm going, what is happening with IG?
I'm asking what the right way to play League of Legends is, or how is this game played? I might even start asking existential questions, like what is the meaning of life? As what Hoya, man, what Hoya just did, Dio. I give you a lot of kudos for coming up with this Hoya Pog. Do it for me. Okay, they did not do it for the memes.
It would have been based. It would have been based.
It would have been really funny. But we're just going to have to send that one over to Esports Garage to see if it was one of the more useful 0-0-0 games that we've seen in history. And that I might have to question life in the break, as that was a chaotic way to end the game. Oh, my God.
It was. And a lot of good news stories outside of Assum here as well. We obviously talked about Hoya. We mentioned a little funny thing with Zhuo canceling the TPs and the backs from Breathe. We also had a Care mid lane that on Azir was pretty stable, actually created a lot of plays for Guwon, who was another good news story. I really liked Guwon's Pantheon here. I think NIP in general,
Guwon played well.
Had everyone playing really well. I didn't feel like there was a hole in the ship here.
Yeah, I didn't either. I just more am scratching my head at IG. Because we lost a game by not making any decisions. I felt like they just had to commit to something, and they commit to nothing. They got dragged around, and we'll see if IG can put up a better early game, because NIP's early games have been better in the first 2 games so far. Might be important for determining this game 3.
Yeah, and what on earth is going to go down on the bot side? Xiaoqi and Mako have been getting walked by Assum and Zhuo, and I don't know. We'll send a little wellness check over to IG after that end game and see how they're doing. And meanwhile, we are going to take a break and return with game 3.